Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop, or at least the back side of it. I want to show you how to straighten, or how we straighten our dovetail saws. And the reason I got the gloves on is because you don't want to touch the brass after it's been sanded. It leaves fingerprints. First of all, how or why are they sometimes bent? Well, we start our saws off with a brass bar stock that we buy in 6-foot lengths, 6 by 1 inch by quarter. And we cut it down into the length of the saw. Whether if it's a dovetail saw, it's going to be, I think these are 9 5/8, and it goes right up to 12 5/8 if it's the big tenon saw. We cut a slot in it. We put the blade in with a shim on either side. We drill and then put in copper pins that we then peen, sand it off, and finish it. Well, by the time we get to this stage, which is almost finished, we have to check it for straight. So as we sight down that blade, there's just a little bit of a bow this way, which means I've got to put some pressure right around here to straighten that out. Now, compared to the way we used to do it, this is a skate blade straightener, and it works wonderfully. This top bearing is on a cam, and then the bottom ones you can adjust the spacing so that you can either apply pressure in a very small spot or move these farther apart so that you have much more gentle amount of pressure being applied. I don't need a lot on this one. I'm going to put it right about there and just a little touch. The nice thing about that brass back is it's stout, but it's still bendable so that you can get it just perfect. And that looks like it's as good as it's going to get. Now, if I'm cutting a dovetail, I'm never going to be in wood any more than 1 inch thick. So if you had even the slightest bow in that blade, how much of it would actually be registering in that piece of wood? And it's very minimal. So it's really not going to impact your sawing as much as you might think. But it is nice to have them nice and straight. So that one's good to go. Now, I'll take another one, and we'll do it the old way. So as I sight down this one, well, that one's not very bad either, but there's a little bit of a bow, so it's shaped like this. I'm going to put some pressure right there. So the way we used to do it is just use some blocks of wood to support the blade on either side. Another block of wood where we're going to apply the pressure just so that we don't mar the brass. And then using a woodworking clamp, just bend that slightly. You don't have to bend it a lot of trial and error. You get good at it after you do a lot of them. And then sight that again. And that could still use a little bit more, but I'm going to move the contact point up a little bit farther, right about here. I've got to stay out close to the edge because I've got a support underneath there that interferes with where the clamp sits. Move it down a little bit. As I said, that brass is nice and stiff, but it is still bendable. So, okay, now as I look down that, maybe just a little bit more. And I'm being really fussy. Excuse me. A little more pressure than I applied the last time. And you don't have to worry about breaking the seal. We actually glue the blade in with Loctite, but then we put in, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 copper pins. So it's not going to come out, and you're not going to adversely affect the way that seats in there. Okay, that looks good. That's all there is to it. You may have to, as I mentioned, you may have to play around a little bit. And it's really a lot of trial and error. Some people will use a straight edge alongside the blade. I just use my eye. I can tell if that's out enough to actually impact the way the saw is going to perform. And it's also nice to have a dark background so that you, as you're sighting down there, you can see it quite clearly and wipe any of the dust off of there that also may interfere with what you're looking at. But I focus right here on the tooth line. That's the part that's going to impact the wood. And typically you're not cutting any deeper than 3/4 of an inch. Anyway, hope that helps. Enjoy your sawing.